Today on Here for the Right Reasons, Michelle Young opens up about her connections with Nayte and Joe.
Through the season, always enjoyed peeling back different layers and kind of at the moment in the season are really truly figuring out just how many layers he has.
Plus, Michelle's hometowns head to Minnesota, and we break down that heartbreaking goodbye with Rodney. We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hey guys, Christina Garibaldi here with Us Weekly senior editor Sarah Heron. Sarah, we made it to hometowns. Yay!
We have a final 3. We have a Bachelor trailer. Things are happening.
So much to break down. But before we get to all that, I know that you actually spoke with the Bachelorette herself.
I did. And of course, I had to ask about, in my opinion, the clear frontrunners, Nayte and Joe. So here's what she said about her connections with those two guys.
Nayte has clearly stood out to you from the beginning. Can you tell me a little bit about your connection and why you guys have connected so far on the show?
When Nayte just stepped out of the limo, he was just very confident, but he didn't have that overconfidence where, he was still nervous. I was nervous as well. And I just, through the season, always enjoyed peeling back different layers and kind of at the moment in the season are really truly figuring out just how many layers he has. There are a lot of things that do happen. There are a lot of tough conversations that have to be had, and there are going to be a lot of emotions involved with all of it.
Joe ghosting you was another big point early on pre-show. Does that come back, or have we moved past that? Am I harping on that, or is it something that will come up again?
I definitely feel that, ghosting, we can all define ghosting however it was, regardless. Communication was where I really wanted to focus with that. But going into that first night, having that conversation, I knew that if I made the decision to keep Joe around, I was going to keep it without a grudge. And, you keep it with a clean slate. And so I made that decision to keep him around and really used my time up until this point to continue to get to know him for Joe and not for how that conversation went years ago.
Was there any part of you when you guys were getting to know each other on the show that wished maybe you had pursued something before or found a way to?
Not necessarily. I'm a big person who feels that everything happens for a reason, or you're going to eventually get to where you need to be. And so for me, I feel like it's counterproductive to spend energy on I wish maybe we should have gone here or done this or met each other. It's at the end of the day, I'm here, and me focusing on potentially what could have been unfolded, I have no idea. All I know is now. And so that's what I chose and still choose to focus on.
It seems like she's teasing definitely some drama still to come with Nayte, though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just things that got cut out of the trailer. I'm still upset about whatever happened with that whole actor allegation thing with Clayton. And there's discussions that needed to be had. Are we going to see those? I feel like they're I don't know. But now I'm all in on Nayte. It's bizarre.
Right. I know. I think we're going to get into that, but this is the first week that I'm okay, I get it. I get it now. All right. But
I've been so critical. I'm going to have to go back and eat all my words, unless maybe I'm just falling for the edit. I'm so confused.
So confused. Well, let's get into last night's episode. What was your Bachelor buzzword of the evening?
Mine was falling for you, because I'm 99.9% sure that all 4 of them said it at least 6 times.
Yes, everybody is falling in love, but I can't remember if I'm remembering this correctly. She only said it back really to Brandon, right?
We definitely saw her explicitly say it to Brandon, for sure. But I think that she might have already said it to some of them too. That's when it gets confusing,
That is, all right. I'm not going to, don't quote me on that, but I don't know. But everybody's falling for somebody.
That did stand out to me.
Yes. No, totally. It definitely did. That Brandon was the only one that got the almost I love you. So I don't know. Mine was meet the parents, because obviously hometowns. And it seemed like all these parents were just sure, go get married. You just met this girl 2 weeks ago.
Have we ever seen parents so welcome to the Bachelor process? There was not one contestant who didn't have parents that totally screwed them over or didn't show up at all.
Right.
It was really interesting to me.
It's a drama-free hometowns, which we never get.
Yes, which brings us to shipping, and we both have the same one. Let's talk about Nayte.
Nayte, where did you come from this whole time? There was something off about him the whole time. And then even like when the paddleboarding date started to happen, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like now I get it. I see what she was kind of falling for. And then when he got like super like emotional talking to his stepdad and things like that, I'm like, all right, okay, I'm on board.
For me, I totally agree. I think that it felt so real. Like I felt like Nayte in the last other episodes, like just didn't feel like he kind of felt like to me, like he was saying what he was supposed to say. And like he had a guard up a little bit and they clearly had a connection and that was like obvious, but I just kind of felt like he was going through the motions a little bit. And this just felt so genuine. And his hometown date felt so real because of the emotions with his stepdad and his parents having been divorced, but then coming together, like his stepdad and his mom still coming together to do this for him and like getting all candid about love and these emotions. And Michelle, you could tell, like took such pride in like being able to help bring them together. Like it just felt really real. And his mom, although by the end they came around, they were a little skeptical, which was kind of nice to see.
Right. Yes. They did have like an actual conversation. Like, I can't believe you're doing this, but we're still on board with it. And she did say like when they first met up on their hometown date that she actually got nervous around him, that his parents were the only ones that she was really nervous about meeting. So it seems like this was a big deal for her and she wanted to make a good first impression. And she's definitely all in on Nayte. Like, I feel like out of everybody, he's like the clear front runner now.
I think so too. And I thought it was really sweet that the mom like brought her candy and like they like welcomed her in a way that was nice and respectful. Cause you don't like when they're too mean and it's like, all right, like your kid did want to go on this show. You can't like make it horrible, but they were a little like, all right, he's never been in love before. And at first I was like, are they throwing him under the bus? But then I was like, no, this is just real. Yeah.
No, it's actually like real parents having real conversations and showing a genuine concern. Well, let's move on to obviously the show is all about a good one-liner. What about you? What does yours go to?
So I don't really like Joe, which we'll get into, but I'm loving his sister-in-law, Hannah. I thought she was like stealing the show in that family. Yeah. And they're obviously from Minnesota. And I thought it was so funny when she said, I hope it works out because we're going to see her in the grocery store. And she just felt really natural in front of the camera. I was like, Hannah's a star.
Seriously, I love that. That was a great one-liner. Mine went to Rodney because, oh my God, break my heart when, when she told him that, obviously he wasn't going to make it to the final 3. And he said, I'm always going to care about you forever. I just want to make you laugh. And like, he just like really like just a stand-up guy, like a really classy way to kind of end his journey. And, I never saw them kind of going all the way. He just gave me like a friend vibe between the two of them, but I just thought he like really handled it really well. And he just, I don't know, Rodney for Bachelor, like
it had never been more obvious to me who was going to go home.
Right, I know.
Out of the final 3. But he had a good run in there. He's so sweet. The apple thing was perfectly a mix of cringe and cute, which is what you want from this show. He does seem just like a genuinely good guy. And I hope that he either gets a chance to be the Bachelor or runs far away from the show and finds someone normal. Because I don't think he needs to go to paradise. I think he's too pure.
He's too nice. Don't taint him. Don't ruin him.
Yeah. Thirst. I love a thirst. I think we have the same one.
We do have the same one. I feel like there weren't really that many thirsty moments besides the whole prom Joe interesting. I just love how they have prom attire on hand just in case.
I know he got like the most, I feel like Bachelor date before. I know they all like did something, but his felt like very Bachelor and like they kind of all like planned it with him. I thought it was pretty thirsty, the whole line about, I always wanted to do this in high school and picking her up on the staircase or whatever. It was like, okay, is this Gossip Girl or I don't know, 90210. But the thing about Joe that it's always not bothered me that I didn't always love about him is I always kind of felt like this relationship was high schoolish, like because it started with this whole ghosting thing. And I know Michelle told me that it doesn't matter, but I still care. It's like she was always trying to prove a little bit like, okay, he let me go, but like now he came back for me and now I have the upper hand. And like, I don't even know if they're doing this on purpose, but I feel like that their dynamic is just very high school. Yeah. And then they were in high school here and they're both from Minnesota. The Mr. and Mrs. basketball thing about going back to prom, like the whole thing just felt a little immature to me. And I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. And I'm sure Joe's a fine guy. It just was the way it played.
No, I totally agree with you. Like, cause I've been team Joe this entire time. And then like, it just, I don't know, it kind of lost its luster a little bit for me during the hometown date. It just kind of felt a little forced, which it probably which it was. But yeah, no, I wasn't feeling like the connection that they usually have. Maybe because now I'm all in on Nayte and I totally flip-flopped to this past time. But no, it just seemed like something was missing between the two of them. And, you know, maybe he's just not here for the right reasons. I don't know. Something's off now.
I feel like their spark was so big in the beginning, maybe also because they didn't know each other. Or it was like so intriguing because they clearly did have like a strong connection. And who knows? I mean, maybe we're just buying into the Nayte's tears. Yeah. I don't know. It just felt like very much Nayte's game to lose at this point. But that leads us into cringe because yours was from Joe's hometown.
Joe's dad. I mean, I like literally laughed out loud because it was like Joe just sitting there with his dad. So and Joe's like, you know, you probably have a lot of questions. His dad's like, nope. like get me out of here immediately. Like so uncomfortable. Shortest conversation ever that's happened between a parent and their child on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. So Joe's dad for the win there.
That is so funny and really so true. I feel like but his family was like, cause he all in and ready to propose. And it's just the dad, I think, thought it was like a joke.
Yeah, I think so too. His mom like definitely overcompensated for the lack of talking on his dad's part.
Mine was Brandon trying to skateboard. It was whatever. It just was a little cringy. Went on a little too long. He seems like a very sweet, precious little guy, but it was just the skateboarding was silly to me. And it's so funny because I still really feel like he's so all in and Michelle isn't. And I don't know what it is because she did say it to him. Right. But something in my gut tells me that he's going to get his heart broken.
I know, I do too. And that poor guy, he's just going to like go home in tears. I really feel it. God, my heart goes out to him. And even like his parents were saying, I just don't want him to get his heart broken. So definitely foreshadowing there. Okay, let's hand out some roses. Who's your rose going to?
I gotta give it to Nayte because I've given him so much crap the whole time. And I love seeing him get emotional and get vulnerable. And you know what? It almost reminded me, it's less dramatic as like Dean Unglert and his dad, because that actually didn't go that well. But you want to think like if there's anything good that could come out of this that isn't a relationship, like this strengthened his relationship with his parents. And that's like kind of cool. And you don't usually see that on the show. And it felt real and genuine to me. So I'm going to give it up to Nayte for going there and crying on national television and Michelle being the girl to support him, you know, it felt real.
Totally. After all these weeks, we finally gave Nayte a rose.
You gave a rose too, or just his dad and his stepdad?
I gave it to the fam because like we said before, they were like actually asked some real questions and showed a little bit of concern about, you know, maybe their son shouldn't probably get engaged after just meeting this girl a couple of weeks ago. And they said like, he doesn't really understand the difference between being in love, being married, you know, kind of getting engaged, taking that next step. Like, they said like, you know, Michelle's a lot more mature than he is. So at least they were like voicing some real concerns and said, you know, maybe this isn't for him. And I think that's maybe what the red flags are that Michelle is going to be talking about probably in the next coming weeks, because maybe he's not there. Like, you know, you've never been in love with before. How do you know that you're ready for this next step? So we'll have to wait and see.
She gave some cryptic quotes about like how this season ends and like, because she kind of tried to hint that like maybe people are off, but maybe it's that she doesn't get engaged, but she ends up with him. Interesting. But then she told Bree and Serena that she was definitely ready, but then I don't know. I feel like there's something that maybe she was just trying to throw me off, but her quotes about the ending did kind of throw me off, and maybe it worked.
Maybe it worked. All right. Who are we going home? Who's packing?
I'm obviously kidding, but like I'm just not over the fact that Brandon's brother like didn't go to the army or whatever because he wanted to meet Michelle. Like, I'm sorry, that is crazy to me. Like, this is like, I don't know if they were just like playing it up and maybe it was like other reasons and they were like just trying to make it nice, but like go to work. It's okay. Like if Michelle is his endgame, you will meet her in due time. Thank you for your service, but like this is insane.
Insane. He's like, I definitely just want to be on TV. I don't care about meeting Michelle. I just want to show off my fly glasses and be on TV.
That was a weird one to me. But like, again, thank you for your service. Great. That family seems lovely, but just like a little all in on this Michelle thing. And I maybe he wins and we're wrong. And like they'll all live happily ever after and they'll have this lovely memory and he'll be happy. He, you know, didn't report to duty, but I was just confused. What about you?
Well, you know, I have to say The Bachelorette. I'm sending The Bachelorette packing and I'm ready for The Bachelor. Bachelor. We got our first teaser of Clayton. It didn't really show too much. It kind of like the drama with some of the girls and the signature, everybody yelling from a balcony Clayton's name. But what were your thoughts on the little teaser that we saw?
I mean, I think the most interesting part is that they just did it that way.
Yeah.
It feels, I can't remember if that's like how they used to do it without these like big formal announcements on GMA. And it was obviously out there. So I guess it would have been silly to like be like, meet your new Bachelor. Yeah. But even like on the Men Tell All, it would have made sense to be like, you've heard the reports, like we're here to say like, it is true. Like here's your sneak peek. Like they just kind of threw it in there. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a classic season of the show, and we'll bring in 2022 the way Clayton intended.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, but you're so right. It is interesting that they didn't like have like maybe he'll do some interviews coming up, but like no like sit down interviews, nothing. We just still don't know anything about this man. It's very strange to me.
We really don't. He celebrated Thanksgiving. He must have just returned home from filming because he posted his first Instagram back on Thanksgiving, and of course he's posing with like nieces or something. These like two cute little girls. And I'm like, it's just like those girls who, he built a fort with. Right. Clayton's good with kids.
Full circle. Yes. That's all we know about him. He's good with kids. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Here for the Right Reason. Sarah, who's on the podcast this week?
I'm catching up with my girl Sydney from Colton's season, and there's a lot to talk about because Colton's new show is coming out. And I'm going to have a full breakdown for that on Friday. I've seen some of the episodes, and yeah, there's a lot to break down.
A lot to unpack there. And I'm sure we'll touch on that next week on the show as well. So everybody keep commenting, keep subscribing, make sure to listen to Sarah's podcast. And for much more on The Bachelor, head on over to usmagazine.com where we have got you covered. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.